Oh, hey, that was funny. The stock market just closed. That was like the ringing of the bell. That was pretty amazing.
Oh, gosh.
That was perfect timing right there, boys.
Yeah.
The bell has rung on some of these players trying to make this team. So we are at the 53-man squad, and we're going to go through all the cuts, and then we're all going to talk about the coconuts. No, I don't know.
Cuts and coconuts.
Yeah. But we'll talk about the full 53-man squad here. I mean, it's kind of a fun one to look at.
Yeah. Whoa,
that bell, right?
like a gong or something. What was that?
Yeah.
But we got a lot of things that we could chat about on this, guys. So we're excited about it. And we finally got our squad. Once again, this squad is fluid too, so things still can shift. So
yes. Yeah, and again, guys, the waiver wire is going to be lit. There's lots of players we could go after. So again, the practice squad is still up in the air, and there's players on other teams we're probably going to go after as well. So we'll talk quite a bit about that as well, too, guys. So plenty to go into.
Let's
go get it.
Let's get into it.
Let's go.
What's up, Pyramid here, man? You watching the Boat Bros podcast. Stay tuned.
Charter blue dreams, stadium lights gleam. Boat Bros on the beat, lead stream. Chargers rocking speeds, Sonic supreme. From the podcast to the field, we're a team. Charged up, Boat Bros on the night. LA Thunder in electric delight. Bullets in the battle, sparking bright. Charged up, ride the lightning, feel the fright.
Okay. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, we got some we got quite a few people coming in now. So why don't we just let's get into it. Let's show the people that have been cut.
Let's see the cuts here.
Yep.
Nice long list here, guys. So once again, Parham gone. You know, I mean, does that shock anybody? In my opinion, I would love to be able to hear from the chat on that one. You know,
yeah,
I think it's somewhere or another. It kind of makes sense. System fit at this point.
Yep.
You know, does it make sense to have him? I mean, injury wise, he's kind of been that guy. He's been injured, was injured in camp. Does it make sense to walk away from him? So, what's your guys'
and he's not a very good blocker. That's why he didn't make the squad, in my opinion. I mean, you know, Spiller's gone, Parham's gone. It sucks because Parham's a good target, but man, he just could not block. Dude, he's 6'9".
Yeah,
right? I think that's why it's even so amazing that you know, Joe Alt is 6'9" and he's that good of a blocker at 6'9". You know, because you have to get low, and just Parham just couldn't do it. He didn't do that. So
I can see that.
Yeah. So that's gonna be an interesting one. Yeah, we'll talk more about the fullback here as well, too, right? I think they're gonna rotate players. I think Matlock might be the guy as well, too. But yeah, I think Shaq Quarterman was a little bit interesting as well, too. But yeah, you know, I think they brought him in to see what he could do. I think for special teams more than anything. And again, guys, remember something too. They're released. They have 24 hours to be picked up by any team in the NFL. If you are under 4 years in the NFL, let's say under 4 years of play, you have 24 hours before you could be negotiated with by any other team. If you have been over 4 years in the NFL, you've been, you know, available as a player, you can immediately negotiate with any team right now after you've been released. So that's where the difference is a little different, right? So just understand that there's going to be different situations with that as well.
You know, I was just thinking about some of these players, you know, like specifically Parham being released.
Yeah.
Like I always think where he's been connected to and who he's been connected to. So Anthony Lynn's at Washington as running back coach. Parham was his guy that he ended up getting from the XFL. Makes sense that he'd go to Washington, or obviously Telesco to the Raiders, or even to say if Parham was one of Staley's boys, he would go to the Niners kind of thing. Like that's where my mind always goes with this. Like, where are these guys going to go? Like, I could totally see Parham going to any of those teams, and it potentially even the Colts too. With obviously connections with the Chargers coaches there too. So I could totally see that happening. So
yeah,
interesting.
I'm surprised we had 7 wide receivers on the team. We'll talk more about that as well too, but it is a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, and we'll go through all the wave players here too. With Quarterman, I think it was kind of a late signing, so it's more just like, hey, get a look for him. Maybe he could be a fit for practice squad. We did a lot of late signings, and I think we're trying to just fit players that are going to be those competitors. Even on our practice squad, we want competitors, guys that could uplift and be able to be a guy that you could, if you need to put him in on the 53-man squad, he can produce. So Quarterman could be that guy that will be added, I think, to the practice squad. In my opinion, I think they really want to go and add a lot more linebacker depth. So going to the next player, Carson Barnhart, Michigan guy.
Yeah.
I think he's practice squad.
That's a little bummer.
Like,
yeah, he will. I think so.
Yeah. I think he's practice squad at that point. I mean, I don't think he played terrible or anything. I didn't hear his name too often, which is, I think, a good thing as an offensive lineman in some levels. Luke Benson, I heard his name a lot. And I felt like he sounds like a country artist, in my opinion.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah.
And, I think that he could find a way on the practice squad. I think we're going to have a lot of tight ends. We're a very tight end driven team, in my opinion. Gerard Clark would be an interesting one. Big fridge in the middle. I think he will find a way on the practice squad. I think he's done well enough, but was he physical enough for Harbaugh?
Yeah. So by the way, there was a lot of people asking the question, what's the difference between a wave player and a released player? Okay. And it goes back to the amount of time they've been in the NFL.
Yes.
Wave players are applied to players less than 4 years of experience. Released players have over 4 years of experience in the NFL. It's the only difference. It's a verbiage thing. So it's essentially the same thing. Well, I shouldn't say that. Released players can immediately be signed by any other team. So then the Chiefs, anybody could call up, Parham and say, hey, we want you. And they can immediately start negotiating right now. Yep. But waived players they got to wait 24 hours. So that's the difference.
Yeah. And if you looked at all the wave players, that aligns very well because these are first year, second year type guys, possibly even some third year type dudes. But it aligns very well. So Akeem Dent, I think essentially it just became a crowded safety position. Couldn't do much there. You can only put so much in some areas there. Dotson, I think, is a good player.
I know, right? I like Dotson, by the way. I think we will try to put him on the practice squad unless we go after somebody else. And guys, one other thing to remember too, we can still change the 53-man roster also. So let's say there is a quarterback better than Easton Stick. They can still release Stick and then say, okay, cool. Well, we want this other guy, immediately sign him, bring him on the 53-man roster, and then try and put him down onto the practice squad. Right now, that's the other option, or you can sign him immediately to the practice squad. Right. Yep. So there's a couple different ways you can handle it either way. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We'll see how it goes with that.
Yep. And we will talk about some of that once we get to the final roster about some of those quarterbacks that we could even look at too. So Andrew Farmer, I mean, he's been on the team for a bit.
Awesome.
Has he produced enough? I'm not sure where he'll be at. Tucker Fisk, I think, is going to be a guy for sure that will get on to the practice squad. I mean, I think he's shown enough to be able to have versatility, the tight end fullback type situation for us.
Yep.
I think he's going to be a good addition to this team. Jalen Gill had a lot of targets. A lot of targets, but it wasn't enough. And I think once again, we have a very crowded wide receiver room now.
Yeah. Way too crowded. Yep.
Yeah. So we got a very, very crowded area. And to be honest, going back to Andrew's point, 53-man squad is going to be very fluid at this point. It's going to shift around a little bit. So this is not the set. This is the initial at this point. So it's going to develop even more.
Well, and look at even like Christopher Hinton. I think he's been in the league for 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 years.
For a bit. Yeah.
Michigan guy
too.
Yeah.
So
Savion Jackson, he looked good out there as well. By the way, Andrew Farmer, one other thing about him is he was on the freaks list when he was drafted, right?
Yep.
The dude is a freak of nature. Now, just because he's a freak of nature doesn't mean he can really play the position that well. The unfortunate truth for Andrew Farmer is that he's in a position where he's in a pretty crowded room with outside linebackers, and that's kind of a problem for him. So it's not necessarily his fault, but it does give other teams an opportunity to pick him up and add him.
Well, Savion Jackson, same thing. I mean, another outside linebacker. I mean, we have 4 very, very good linebackers. I mean,
Correct.
It's very, very hard to be able to go up against guys that are all studs. That are got 3 out of the 4, I think, have been Pro Bowl guys. I mean, there's a great chance Thule down the road could go to a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So
100%. This it could be this year for sure.
Yeah, it totally could be.
The thing that I look at this too, though, is when we're going to talk about the 53-man roster here in a second, but I will say this: the team has depth. Say what you want to say about our team now. We are not good with just a 53-man roster and saying, cool, we're just going to go with it, and we're going to roll with our guys. No, Joe Ortiz is going to continue looking at other people. And if you watch my video from yesterday, Ortiz clearly has people stack ranked across the league. So now that people are available, he's now going to look at everybody and go, okay, cool. So our video tomorrow could even be more spicy because there might be some more people let go. They can move people around. It could be be really interesting, guys. I'm very very curious to see what the practice squad looks like and who we scoop up from other teams, because we're going to get other players as well too, guys. I promise you we will. Yep.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about that. And that's one thing I like about the 53-man squad. And I think a lot of players call this week 0 of the NFL season. And this is the develop of make sure you're getting ready for week 1 at this point.
100%.
Make sure you could solidify your squad going into week 1. So it's fun to watch this happen. But, one thing, Matt Hankins and Robert Kennedy are 2 of those guys that I felt like they have done pretty well. Like, I've been really satisfied with our cornerback play. Like,
really good.
I feel like we have really good cornerbacks all around on this team. And I love the way that our cornerbacks actually read and react very well to when a ball is being passed, versus I feel like last year it was always like backpedal. But okay, they threw the ball. Okay, now I'll try to go back. They don't read and react very well. And I feel now we're actually attacking the player getting the ball. And I love seeing that. So I will expect a couple of cornerbacks to be added to the practice squad. Who it will be, I'm not sure. Cornelius Johnson's one of those guys, another Michigan guy. I thought that he would find his way on the practice squad. Yeah. For special teams purposes too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's weird because he's a 7th round pick. Usually if you're if you're drafted, you usually make the team. I think they could have tucked him away. He was a pretty low pick, He didn't do a lot in the preseason, so I think they think he can I think they're hoping the Tremont Morris Brash is tuck him away. Now, remember this year too, guys, you get 16 people on the practice squad as opposed to 15 last year, and you still can get 1 international player. So right now that's CJ Okoye.
Yep.
So
that's good. I do wonder, and Alex Leatherwood obviously did not play very well.
Oof. God, he was bad. He was bad.
But do you add a guy that's was a 1st round pick? I mean, everywhere he's gone has not done well, but he's got experience. Do you kind of tuck him away in practice squad at this point, just for that experience side of things? And maybe if some of the coaches say, hey, look, I think we could find a way to be able to help him out, get him into the right direction.
Yeah.
Could you do that? I mean, experience is never a bad thing, but at the same side, if your experience that you're showing on field is terrible, do you need the guy, or do you want to get a guy that's inexperienced to be able to teach him the way you wanted him to play?
I don't know. I mean, there could be some attitude issues that he has, and that's kind of a reason why he got tossed around so many times, So it's he's got experience, but he could be out there, causing a problem on the field in some way.
Sure.
Yeah, I watched his footwork. He was getting beat pretty bad all the way across the board. I was not impressed with what I saw. Again, I do a lot of the shorts, I do the commentary on top of that as well. So I'm watching a lot of footage and I'm like, man, he just doesn't look good. He just struggles. Footwork is horrible. Yep. Anthony says he's hot garbage. Yeah, I agree. And this is a good question. Did Brandon Herbert have final say on the roster cuts? Probably not. It's weird because he may have said, hey, I really like, Easton Stick as, the number 2. I know we talked about that as far as him, being kind of a sideline clipboard Jesus, guy, but I don't think, again, according to Harbaugh, he said, no, man, Joe Ortiz is going to make the final cuts.
Yeah.
I do think they clearly, consulted the coaches and what they want and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's some big cuts. I mean, Caleb Farley, I saw that cornerback from the Titans got let go. Frank Gore Jr. got let go. There again, guys. That's why I think there's players that I think might get scooped up from other teams. And Joe Ortiz very clearly has been saying they've been evaluating those players. They're back in there now, saying, okay, are there other players we can go get that are better than what we have right now?
And the one thing too about the quarterbacks, and I know obviously Luis Perez got let go and everything too.
Yep.
There's a side to me where I'm thinking the way Greg Roman talked about him and having other coaches saying, hey, you need to take a look at this guy and like you need to throw him out there. It kind of makes you think, do they want to put him in the practice squad? I think if they try to go out and try to go get like a Mike White or, Bailey Zappi or something like that, would they feel more confident about going with Luis, or would they get some guy that's been in the league for a while and is more experienced? I mean, that's an interesting one I'm keeping an eye on just to see where we could kind of develop that one further. Or if Luis Perez is going to be that third guy tucked on the practice squad. Who knows?
Hey guys, we got over 420 people in here. Okay, we're 435 now. That's right. Hit that like button. What's up, 420?
Hey guys. If you guys haven't been to the channel, once again, this guy, dude, man, he's going nuts with that soundboard over there. But once again, guys, if you guys haven't been to the channel, appreciate you guys being here. We do videos constantly through the week, and we do lives very constantly during the weekend, pregame, postgame shows. 2, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not. We'd always appreciate you guys' support and keep coming back with the bros over here. So
but this list is interesting. I mean, I am curious because we'll talk about the 53-man roster. How many actual? I think they're probably going to try to just get the best depth piece people on here now too. Like they'll say, okay, who are the best players? And they've clearly ranked them, right? I think it's almost like Madden. I was thinking about it this way. He's 75. He's 73. Yeah. He's 1 to 100, right? And so I think they're just going to stack the best players on that practice squad, and you want some strategy behind it, like have 1 or 2 wide receivers or whatever. But I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting.
It'll be interesting. I mean, this is the full list that they have for cuts wise at this point. But I think the big thing that they would want to have back is for sure Tremont Morris Brash. Like, I think it's interesting to see Isaiah Spiller, the guy that just never was able to figure it out for this team. And I could see him going to the Raiders and being a Telesco guy there.
So let me ask you this question. Okay, who do you bring back, Spiller or Dotson? I think Dotson.
Yeah.
100%.
Dotson.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Dotson for sure. I mean, it makes the most sense in my opinion. I mean, I think it would be really cool if the Chargers go out and go get Frank Gore Jr. I would be kind of stoked about that pickup.
And then PJ Walker got released by Seattle.
So there you go. I mean, there is some options there for us guys. I mean, I think it's very fun to watch. But let's jump into the 53-man while we're here. Let's jump into that one. I know that's why we're all here, guys.
That's why we're here.
We're all here. But so obviously the 53-man roster is here. Initial 53-man roster. Just once again, it's very fluid at this point, guys.
Correct.
Correct. So things could shift around. So obviously what we got, Justin Herbert, he made the squad, guys.
Oh my gosh. Woo! We're keeping Herbert, guys. Guys, that's I think they were no, but it is interesting, right? That and I'm still shocked we kept Stick, to be fair. But I think maybe the only reason why we kept Stick is we wanted to at least keep him because we didn't know what was going to be released by other people. Sure. I suspect that they're probably on the phone with other people like Tyler Huntley. I would rather have him over Stick any day of the week. Any day of the week. Oh my God.
Well, and it's interesting about Tyler Huntley. He makes a lot more sense for a plug and play situation. He's been Greg Roman. 100%. He just will be able to go out there and do his thing. Now, it's interesting too. The Browns are also shopping Jameis Winston. So you kind of think Jameis Winston does have a fair amount of games under his belt as an NFL quarterback. He's a funny dude in his interviews. Like, I mean, that only goes so far because on the field you need to produce, but you kind of think a little bit like, what if you go with Jameis Winston or what if you go with Tyler Huntley? Who knows? Yeah. But we'll see what happens with that quarterback two situation for us.
So Herbert made the team. We're excited, guys. Very exciting.
Well, I mean, at the same side though, too, is like, I mean, we'll go back into it. Though. Easton Stick could be a consistency guy for Justin Herbert. You know,
yep.
Could be. Yeah. We can leave it at that. I know. We kind of talked about that last time. You know that he's he helps him out. I just think we have large enough coaching staff. We don't need a guy like that. But
sure.
I mean, let's face it. Jim Harbaugh is an ex-quarterback, right? And he could be that guy also, right? So, anyways, it's one of those things. But
agreed.
But
running backs,
yeah.
Here we go. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Jarrett Patterson found a way, and Kamani Vidal is on the team. So
yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty interesting. There.
He looked good though, guys. Jarrett Patterson looked good, man. And they're a nice switch up from JK and Gus Edwards. I think, Gus is like Gus the Bus, and then you got JK a little more flash and dash, and then Kamani's good too. He's kind of in the middle, and Jarrett's a little more like Kamani, and so I think that's a great running back room. I'm hyped on it.
And I'll give a shout out to Jarrett too, because he was on the team, I believe, last year. It was a signing that we had late last year, kind of stashed in the practice squad.
Commanders.
Kind of got buried a little bit in the depth chart, essentially. And he worked his way up, and that's a big thing. I will say there is a chance that, you got to think, if this is a very fluid depth chart, there's also a 53 people that you have here that you've ranked up to this point. The 53 guy is essentially still on the bubble. So is Jarrett Patterson that 53rd guy? Who knows?
Yep.
Maybe you could let him go and put him on the practice squad and you'd be fine. And you have 3 running into week 1 kind of thing.
Yep.
So keep that in mind, guys. But once again, shout out to Jarrett Patterson getting under the 53.
Yep. I mean, there's no guarantee that all these players are going to be suited up to play every game, though. So it's like, I mean, they're part of the team, but they're like, 3rd, 4th strings and stuff like that, But that's awesome that he's got the spot, though.
Love it.
No. These 53 man always suits up.
Oh, they always suit up.
Yeah, they always suit up. Yeah. So what? Yeah, I think what you're saying is the practice squad doesn't suit up.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. Jarrett Patterson, like to your point though, James, is that let's say he was 75th running back, and we have somebody ranked at like 60, 80 something or whatever.
Yeah.
Gore Jr. right here, good example. Everyone says Gore Jr. Again, we might say, fine, all right, Jarrett, you're gone. Sorry, but we're gonna go get Gore Jr. But here's what happens though. Once they are released again, they are waived again, then they have another 24 hours again to be available for other teams before we can put them back on the practice squad. So, there's going to be a lot going on, guys. So we might even have more information after we get off this live stream as well, too, guys. And again, smash that like button, guys, if you do get a second, please. It does help the channel out also.
Absolutely. And it's once again very, very fluid for us here. So we'll see where it goes. So the wide receivers, here we go, guys. We did keep 7.
Big one, yeah.
That is a big list there. Right. And once again, Simi Fehoko and Brandon Rice found a way.
Yeah.
Crazy. But once again, big hesitation going into the season is the wide receiver group, guys. I mean, as you've looked around at a lot of different outlets, major outlets, all that, they put the wide receiver group as basically one of the worst in the NFL because we don't got a guy. We don't have Williams. We don't have Allen. We don't have those guys anymore. We have a whole new set of guys. Quentin Johnston hasn't really worked out as well. I hope that he's going to have a good uptick this year. Ladd McConkey could be an absolute dog and a Keenan Allen kind of guy for us. Josh Palmer, I think, is very underrated in my opinion. DJ Shark, he's got great body control and can make those tough catches. Darius Davis, obviously, what he could do in the punt return game and what he can do in sweeps. And he's a really, really fast guy. Yeah. So, and Brandon Rice made the squad. So, I mean, wow. I mean, that's a pretty deep wide receiver. Once again, special teams is involved with some of these guys too. Right. I'd probably say 3 of those players are probably very heavily in special teams. Brandon Rice, Davis, and Fehoko, for sure.
Yeah, and we did talk about the 53-man roster. The rule is 48 can be active for the game, so 5 cannot. they're designated for inactive and cannot participate. That happened a lot last year with Isaiah Spiller. And the third quarterback rule, I wanted to talk about this too, James.
Yeah,
that's not continuing this year. Apparently, right? Is it happening? So maybe let's talk a little bit about the third quarterback rule. I know we're talking about running backs now, but we didn't cover it on the quarterback conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty funny about the whole quarterback situation. So apparently they sent out a memo about it that they're not going to continue that emergency third quarterback rule.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
And so they kind of sent it out, not with like a header that like, all right, we're ending this kind of thing.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was like something to just kind of say, we're talking about this in a sense, but it was actually like an official press release when a lot of these executives were actually out on vacation. So it was kind of like a really missed rule change. But basically, they're not allowed to do a 3-man or a emergency quarterback now.
Yeah.
So they could put one on a practice squad. You could call them up necessarily, but the emergency quarterback rule is gone.
Yep.
Like, so if you do need to put a 53-man squad with at least 2 quarterbacks at this point, you could stash one in the practice squad, but you can't have it as emergency in game to bring him up. So
isn't that nuts? That is crazy. That is really weird that they, because I know the Niners were, because they call it the Brock Purdy rule, but I thought that was really interesting that it just seems strange to me. It was really odd the way that they handled that. One thing I will say about this, what does this tell you about the Chargers' actual offense they're going to run?
Yep.
Yeah. Guys, I know everyone says we're going to run the ball, and yes, we're going to run the ball. Yes, we're going to run a lot of 12, 13, we're going to run a lot of tight ends. But, guys, there's 7 wide receivers on this team. So, look, I really believe we're still going to run spread. One of the plays that I did a video on, it was actually called the spread pistol. So that's where you have a fullback a little off to the offside of the quarterback, and you just they call it spread pistols, what they're calling it now. So I think they're going to run a lot of that as well. So you're going to see 3 wide receivers on the field, and I think they're going to rotate a lot of players. So for fantasy purposes, wide receivers could be a little interesting for the Chargers this year. I'm a little bit maybe past, I don't know, Ladd and Palmer, and I don't know. We'll see, but it could be real interesting. We'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is we don't have a fullback, so that probably means that we're going to probably have Jordan McFadden at guard position running that fullback type scenario there.
Yeah, we saw Matlock do it as well too.
Yeah,
a few times in that game, and which I thought was interesting. I mean, again, all he's got to do is hit a guy,
block
do it in front of you, just plow into the guy. Yeah.
But I do think you like Will Dissly. We didn't see him do it, but Will Dissly's one of our best blocking tight ends. Why do you not just put him back as a fullback tight end situation too?
Yeah.
Like that's like a whole nother side that we could even look at, and I think that a lot of people aren't really focusing on too. So, to the wide receivers though, I really think, and I've said this on one of our last lives, I really think we're going to throw the ball a lot more than you think.
Yeah, I think so too. I really do.
You just don't suppress a quarterback like Justin Herbert and not allow him to throw the ball. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to throw it 40 times a game, but I feel like it's going to be a little bit higher than we expected. We were thinking of a 20 to 25 range of throws. I think it could potentially be in the 30s.
Yeah.
The running game is what paces the game out and can beat down basically the defenses and close out a game. Like, I feel like that's kind of what we're going to do. We're going to be able to use Justin Herbert's arm quite a bit. So I think we have a very, very good shot of being a high pass offense, but it's going to be a very spread based offense.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think so. Just, and I've said this a number of times, when Harbaugh was the coach of the Niners, the first half of the game, they were 50-50 run pass. They were very balanced.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game is when, if they had a lead, they would start running the ball, right? That's the whole concept of being more of a physical team. So we're going to go spread. Let's get the ball out. Let's get some points. Let's get a lead. And then we can start playing, and we can start leaning on these other guys, right? So,
100%.
But we also, if we're down, we can go spread and try and throw the ball around and make a comeback, right? So that's the interesting conversation there.
Big time.
We'll talk more about the tight ends as well too, guys. We definitely got some. Oh, well, here we go. It's right here.
I'll pull it up right now.
Hey, what's that next? Here we go.
Yeah. So tight ends, Will Dissly, Hayden Hurst, Stone Smart. I personally think this is the right move. I mean, internally within the Chargers, they are loving Stone Smart. They feel he's very, very versatile as a guy that was converted from a quarterback, I believe, correct? To now a tight end. I mean, has found a way on a 53-man squad too. Harbaugh wants competitors. He wants guys to be physical, and Stone Smart has shown that he's become physical. And this is really interesting group here too. Once again, can be a very fluid group in my opinion, but Dissly and Hayden Hurst were locks, and it was about trying to find if we want 3 or 4 tight ends. And so Stone Smart found a way.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a little shocking to me too, though. I thought that we were probably going to go with 4 tight ends and take 6 wide receivers.
Yeah,
but they went the opposite. Like they switched it out on me. I'll say this though too, real quick. So I'm looking at the depth chart for the Chargers. So apparently for tight ends, you got Hayden Hurst and Will Dissly both as first team.
Oh yeah,
and then the same thing goes with the running backs. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are both first team. So they 100% are going to be alternating on that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest problem with Parham was his blocking was very bad, right? Yep. He was tall, lanky. He also got hurt a lot too. Very good. I mean, he's a wide receiver. That's really what he is. He's an end zone target. So he's not going to have a hard time finding a spot somewhere.
No.
But what we need him to do here for the Chargers and help in the running game, he cannot do. He's not that good at that. I remember even Austin Eckler talking about that when he was here. His last year is like, he didn't want to come out and say it, hey, these tight ends suck, but they didn't block well, right?
Yeah.
Right? They were more wide receivers like Parham, right? So my point is, at least Stone Smart's probably shown that he can block better than, Parham for sure.
Yeah.
Zach Hines was a bit of a shock. I would have thought he would have been a little better, but
yeah. And I'm sure we'll put some practice squad tight ends for sure. You just kind of know that's a big part of Greg Roman's offense is tight ends. Yeah, just to go with 3 for the rest of the season sounds a little crazy to me. So I think they will probably add 2 in at least, in my opinion, for the practice squad of tight ends. So
especially injuries too, right?
100%.
And there's going to be a lot of tight ends available, right? I think they probably go back after Fisk. I think Fisk showed enough. I think he did a great enough job. Yeah. So they'll probably get, you can probably get Fisk, no problem. We picked him up off waivers during camp, right? So I don't think anyone's going to go after him, but maybe even Zach Hines, who knows, but I think we at least go with 2 more on our practice squad is what I would think. Again, video tomorrow, guys. As soon as that's released, we're going to go live on that as well. So
absolutely. So offensive line 9, and you need to make that a heavy group all around. Obviously Joe Alt, Bradley Bozeman, Brendan Hymas found another way to stay on the squad, but he has found a niche for himself on this team. Crazy, a guy that's been tucked away on this team for such a long period of time. We didn't know anything about this guy for the longest period of time, but he has found a way later on to be able to get a role, and that's basically a starter, but he can be versatile if he needs to, excuse me, a center for this O-line, but can be versatile in guard position for us too. Zion Johnson, Jordan McFadden, Trey Pipkins, Foster Sorrell found a way. Once again, connection of a ex-Raven too, by the way. Jamari Sawyer. So you assume that Jamari Sawyer is healthy at this point. And Rashawn Slater. So that seems all about right to me of who we're sticking on this team. So
yeah, I will say this. A lot of those players can play different positions. Like Jordan McFadden clearly is going to be a fullback and a tight end, right? He was out there. So the one thing I will say, and we'll talk more about this also on the defensive back room, is they're cross-training a lot. And I remember Harbaugh specifically saying the offensive line, I don't care. You can move. We can move you to different positions. You should be able to do that. I mean, Joe Alt was a left tackle. He's now a right tackle. And so I'm just saying, if you're a good player, you should be able to play multiple positions, right? Like me, when I play softball, I'm playing tonight. I can play any position, guys. Hey, look,
oh my goodness.
Guy always goes back to the softball, right?
Exactly. Okay.
Oh,
there ain't nothing I can't do. There ain't nothing I can't do.
Jeez Louise. And once again, guys, we got over 700 people in the chat here. Once again, appreciate you guys joining in here. Once again, if you haven't seen the Bolt Bros, we're a channel that constantly talks about the Chargers throughout the week. We do lives, pregame, postgame, and even in the offseason, we continue to keep talking about the Chargers doing lives during the weekend. So, hey, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not. We appreciate all the support and joining in and tuning in with us.
Whichever. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
All right, defense. Here we go. Defensive line. So this is the inside D line.
Yeah. Good
group here all around. Justin Aboigbe,
very happy.
Puna Ford, Morgan Fox probably will be the starters at this point. Scott Matlock, Atito Abonia, and Tier Tart. Got to love Tier Tart added to this group, guys. Aboigbe is one of those guys, 4th round pick this year for us. I feel like he didn't really flash too much during the, whole 3 games that we've had in preseason, but he's once again a guy that's got upside to him. So I think with having the group around him, I think this will be a very, very good group. And I'm actually glad that we really got that Tier Tart player. We got that Tier Tart, sounds like a delicious like French pastry of some sort.
You got tarted. You got tarted.
You got tarted.
You got tarted. I like that.
But great group here. I feel much more confident about our inside D line at this point.
Hey, ask yourself this question: do you feel more confident about that now than last year? I think absolutely,
big time.
Big time. Megan Fox, always looking good. Got Matlock
looking good. Morgan Fox, guys.
Yeah. Oh my bad. Yeah, and then Aboigbe. By the way, Madden did Aboigbe wrong. Did you see that video that was posted up about Aboigbe? Man, his hairline was all the way back down to here. It looked so bad, dude. It looked so bad. But he's a little bit of a work in progress, I think. But it was pretty funny. Good upside, but he's gonna be a rotational player. Like he'll be the he'll come in for certain plays.
Yep. And Matlock being the soul taker. And I think that he's kind of proven himself as a leader early on in camp. Obviously Jim Harbaugh talked pretty heavily about him. And so I think that it makes sense for him. I mean, when we drafted him last year, I kind of always felt like Matlock was going to be a better physical type, inside D-line type guy for us. And, I think he's going to fit extremely well in this Jesse Minter defense. I think he's going to do some really, really good things for this team. So I think I feel very much more confident about them now.
Well, and again, it would really be nice to see how much, what was I going to say about that? I was thinking of 2 different things. Yes. And H4, hold on just a sec. H4, yes. $20 million is how much money we have available. That's what I was thinking of 2 different things, but I also wanted to say this about Eddie. AJ Dillon out for the season, neck injury. Oof. Wow.
Oh, God.
That's why you don't want to do a fantasy draft until this week, right? Because you want to wait.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You wait to get past everything, and then going into the week generally of week 1 is the best time to do your draft. Just kind of make sure. But that's crazy. That could pretty much end AJ Dillon's career, in my opinion.
Yeah, it could be.
You can't have a neck injury and be a running back.
Yeah.
That's
but if we could be top 10 in stopping the run, that'd be really nice. I mean, it really would be, because that's
been something that we've struggled with for the last 3 years. The run defense has been atrocious.
Yeah, it's killed us. I mean, it killed us in the Jags game. It killed us in that 2021 Raider game. That was still one of the best games of all time. Last one for week 18. I mean, that pretty much ended us with a Josh Jacobs run that got them in field goal position too. Yeah. And it's just, there's so many times where it's like, dude, we just could not freaking stop anybody. And it was awful. It was awful to watch. So outside linebackers, obviously this is what you choose. You get 4 of them: Joey Bosa, Dupree, Khalil Mack, Tuli Tuipulotu.
Yeah.
That's pretty much self-explanatory, but that's a very elite group in my opinion. Like,
dude,
a very, very elite group, a group that could cause havoc. And I'm very much looking forward to that. I would love to be able to see, once again, the stats last year. Bosa, Mack, and Tooley on the same field, 25% sack rate when they all three were on the field at the same time.
It's crazy.
That is massive. That's awesome. You best believe Jesse Minter understands that. And he's going to take advantage of that for sure. So it could be a massive season for sacks for this team. It's going to be awesome to watch.
And they're going to rotate these guys too. There's going to be some serious rotations. Third downs. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But again, and when Bosa's healthy, he's as good as it gets. I mean, there are people that still. I mean, there were people constantly talking about how good he was in camp. But the problem is he always seem to get hurt. It's how the hell are you always getting hurt? It's weird. Anyway,
they're saying he's going to be ready for week 1. We will see. That's where the whole X factor of this team is with Ben Herbert. I mean, guys, I think we don't really have one guy that's truly on the IR yet at this point. I mean, maybe it's Chris Rump at this point.
No, Nick Niemann is.
Nick Niemann? Okay. Oh, yep. Nick Niemann. Yeah, I didn't even
I forgot. That. Yeah, I should have said this. Yeah, Nick Niemann is on the injured reserve at the moment.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. So, so he's there, and then so we have Chris Collins, Tyler McLean, who we saw get injured the last game, and then Rumpf, and then Bucky Williams, the center from App State. So
okay.
But Bucky, I thought Bucky was better than Hymas personally. He looked a lot better to me when I was watching him play. He did a pretty good job. So yeah.
Dang. That's crazy. Well, and to be honest, it's our key guys. It just seemed like they've been healthy and they've done a good job. Jamari Sawyer, when we were at camp, we saw him go down there too, but it sounds like he's kind of getting back into shape. So, which is great.
He's doing just fine now.
Yeah, he's doing fine. Yep.
So inside linebackers here, like what we talked about, the whole thing. Nick Niemann's not on the list, but Junior Colson, Troy Dye, Deion Henley, Denzel Perryman. I think that's about right.
Great.
Troy Dye, great special teams guy that wants to find some time on field as a linebacker, and that's the reason why he signed with us. Deion and Junior Colson, Denzel Perryman, rock solid 3 right there too. Very excited to be able to see Deion out there too.
So here's the cool thing too, is that looking at the depth chart right now, that Deion and Denzel are the first team. So Deion's up first. That's awesome.
It makes sense.
Love it.
Makes
Super
sense.
stoked. Yeah, it does make sense a lot. Yeah, I mean, I would have thought maybe Nick Niemann could have done it because he's been with the team for a little bit longer, But I think that's
he's hurt now too. So.
Yeah, but that's why. Yeah, he's hurt now. So yeah.
Yep. But he's hurt. But Troy Dye really is going to be more of a special teams guy too. But he looked good too. And obviously Niemann, when he comes back, is very good at special teams also. Yeah, we say a prayer for Bosa to stay healthy. I like that. But
no doubt. Yeah. What is it? Harley Tiger 7 says San
prayers
Diego
up in the
Bolt,
chat,
shout
man.
out.
Please send some prayers to the chat.
Yeah. A little emoji there.
Yep.
San Diego Bolt, shout out. Let's go. And then next group here, defensive backs, 11.
Yeah.
Whoa, but okay.
Well,
then
and you know why? I would say a lot of these are also going to be there for special teams too. So
for sure.
Troy Dye, I think they also went with that linebacker. Remember, we were signing all these linebackers like Frank Ginda and all these other guys that I think they were going to be the guys for special teams.
Yeah.
And I think they decided, we want speed. I think Brendan Rice probably made the squad because of what he did in special teams.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible they can use Rice potentially to return the ball too, to show his ability a little bit more. Obviously, Davis is going to be the guy to catch it a little bit more, but Rice could be also an alternate for that as well.
Yeah. Yep. And they kept rotating a lot of players in training camp too for fielding kicks too. So, so you got obviously defensive back safety group here: AJ Finley, Christian Fulton, Alohi, Cam Hart, Derwin James, Tony Jefferson. You gotta love that he's on there, and I think that's a great move.
Balled out, dude.
Yeah,
out.
He to me was a lock on this roster, regardless.
Yeah,
just because of skill set. I mean, I liked Tony Jefferson back in the days when he was on the Ravens. He was phenomenal as a player, but adding experience to the safety room is huge. Dean Leonard, who balled out too. did great. Asante, obviously, Zahn is the man. Tarheeb Still, Jasir Taylor, and JT Woods found a way onto the team too. So what's crazy about JT is that he's been starting to play cornerback.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a week ago, essentially. And he found a way to basically show versatility. And that's one thing I think Jesse Minter really wants, is a lot of versatility with a lot of these players. Not be a one-note type player, a guy that can get moved around if necessary. So good group.
Yeah, JT has looked. He's still listed as a safety, I think. Yeah, he is still listed as a safety.
Yeah,
but he has been playing more of a dude. I think he's a good cornerback. I think that's probably a better fit for him. Kind of like what I said with Cam Hart. Cam Hart, I think, is actually a better safety than a better corner, in my opinion. But we'll see. But again, remember, they are cross training all these guys. So when you say defensive backs, they're kind of running different positions, right?
Sure.
So they're going to be kind of moved around differently. Guys, you're going to see a lot of man coverage. I was watching a lot of these, preseason games. They put them out on an island. I'm curious if we go more zone, but they did a lot of man because I think they wanted to see if these guys can play man coverage.
Yeah,
is why they did that in the preseason games. Like, okay, can this guy really cover this guy? Period.
Right,
and yeah. Anyways,
what's actually interesting about that is that Bill Belichick was on the Pat McAfee show, and he actually talked about that. It's that he was saying it's like, in preseason they do a lot of man-to-man because they want to find out if actually these players can actually do it or not. But they will run zone a little bit more during the season, and they actually end up using a lot more elaborate schemes like in the defense and disguises and things like that. So. But we've talked about that a lot, that there's a lot of just basic everything. And so man-to-man essentially is very basic, I suppose, in coverage.
Yep.
But it's effective.
Yeah, I agree. I would say one player that would be on the bubble would be probably out of this group, and I would say AJ Finley. If there's going to be a shift, I think AJ Finley could be one of the shifting players that would go to, like, say, practice squad or whatnot. I think AJ is a good player. I think he's a very good player, and you kind of would want to have 4 safeties at this point. Obviously, you could kind of push in JT Woods to safety group if you need to, but I think that's kind of the one group. It's a very heavy group all around. 11 players in that group is quite a bit. So keep an eye on this group, guys. This would be a good one. One thing I want to say about the defensive backs, I love seeing a lot of corner blitzes and safety blitzes. If you watched in preseason, there was a lot of heat coming from this group. And it was great to see that. And it's something that we have been lacking in a very long period of time. I think Derwin James could potentially have a huge sack year this year, in my opinion. I mean, some coaches even said that he could be a 10 sack type guy if you want him to be.
Dang.
Like, that's crazy to think about.
That's crazy. His
sack rate is extremely high when he puts pressure.
He's a stud.
But absolutely, the thing is, you also got to make sure you got a safety back there,
exactly,
like a Tony Jefferson, that can get the ball and make sure that there's a lid on the ceiling there.
100%.
Yeah. A lid on the ceiling.
They've been saying that Alohi's been kind of a breakout candidate this year too. So, and to be honest, Alohi's only been progressing every single year he's been with this team. So, once again, one of the few Notre Dame guys that the Chargers have drafted that actually seem to really have worked out for us thus far. So,
I will say we'll be a top 5 blitzing team in the NFL this year too.
I think so.
We are going to push
dogs
every single play. Very rarely are we just going to rush 4. It's going to be 4 or 5 every time. Every 100%. Time. Yep.
A lot of stunts at the line too. There's going to be a lot of confusion where these blitzes are coming from. I think that there's going to be a lot more linebacker blitzes than we've ever seen, because Brandon Staley always would put the linebackers out in coverage and leave kind of a zone situation and leave the middle of the field dang near open almost all the time. It's going to be an awesome defense. So just watch some of those preseason games. That's one thing I observed a lot about Jesse Minter, even kind of learning about how he worked with Michigan. Watch some of those highlights. It is an awesome, awesome defense. This could be one of the best defenses we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Very long time.
And Dennis Young, Neiman's hurt. So he's on the injured reserve at the moment. So, Neiman's on the IR. So, it's going to be really good, though. I think, is there anything more on that? Yeah, okay.
That was special teams.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Special teams.
Dicker, Josh Harris, J.K. Scott. hey, that goes without saying. I mean, those are our guys. Long snapper, kicker, and punter. We got it all there. So, and
they're a great group right there for sure.
Great group. So
yeah, I mean, all three are. I think Josh Harris, doesn't he make it to the Pro Bowl every year? As a
I think so. He's like a Pro Bowl long snapper for sure. Yeah,
he's a stud. I wouldn't be surprised if Dicker gets into the Pro Bowl. I wouldn't even be surprised if J.K. Scott finds a way there too. So I don't care about the Pro Bowl. Let's get to a Super Bowl. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, the one thing I'll say that's interesting about J.K. Scott is that his hang time is elite. So he gets no run backs, right? So he won't kick it as deep, but he'll kick it high. So there's no way that return person can do anything to you at all. It's like, okay, we're done. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. Yeah. And again, I know everyone's talking about Morris Brash. Morris Brash will be on a team. I do think we are going to bring him back as soon as possible. Right. Let's just hope somebody else doesn't scoop him up. Right. So that's the big question.
Yep.
I think, he looked good in preseason, but I do think that, I think he flashed a lot more in camp. I know a lot of people were saying he looks really great too. So, yeah. And then obviously DD is our returner as well too. So guys, pretty amazing. So what time, when does the practice squad?
I think it's 24 hours from now, I think, right? So
2 p.m. tomorrow, we'll go live on the practice squad then too. That's good.
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, I think there's just going to be a little bit of a situation where you're going to start seeing some people getting signed here shortly, but you'll probably have a full squad by 24 hours from now. So we're shooting to go live again tomorrow to kind of chat about everything. And once again, guys, we had over 800 people in the chat here, and we appreciate you guys once again. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you've not. We appreciate you guys 100% for being here and everything too. So I'm excited about this 53-man squad. I think it's a good thing. But one position I'm going to say we're going to look at, and I think we all as fans are looking at, quarterback, to see if we try to make some additions there. I think that's a big thing that we're all going to be looking at. Tight end would be an interesting one to see if there's maybe somebody out there in the tight end group too that might be another uplift to this group. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of other additions we do make here too. So
yeah, one thing Eddie said here, this is great. No significant injuries heading into week 1, which I think is fascinating because we practice a lot harder than we ever did underneath Staley. Staley was like a damn resort out there. Okay, cool. Bosa, do whatever you want. Mac, do whatever you want. Blah, 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 blah. It ain't that way, dude. It was 100% regimented, and they had everything focused. And they were... Oh my gosh, my Google phone is just recorded what I was saying there. That's pretty exciting.
There you go.
I don't know what's going on there.
It's always
trying to.
Everyone listening, dude. We got the NSA, checking us out. Dude, that's cool. Like and subscribe to NSA. That sounds great. No, but I guess my point is, as physical as we have practiced up to this point, no injuries. That makes us ready for week 1, dude. It's gonna be
yes, sir.
On like Donkey Kong. We gotta host slap them bitches. The Rangers are going down. The Rangers are going down.
Charge! Let's go.
Oh, it's gonna be so exciting, guys.
I believe John Lee in the chat said that we need a center, and I would say that would be another position.
I agree.
Kind of just think of another guy that you could add for center position. So
right.
Jordan McFadden was kind of being looked at a little bit as a center a while ago too. So once again, going back to that whole idea of versatility, you got some guys that can fill in, but center is another side too that you got to think about.
Yeah, and I would say Bucky looked pretty good. Hymas is right now our second backup, but Bucky looked better to me in my opinion. I just felt like Hymas kind of always looked a little lost in translation somehow. And I, being a center, you can't be lost because you're kind of the guy.
Not at all.
No. So, Frank Gore Jr. Guys, again, this is going to be fluid. We're going to go live again tomorrow at 2 p.m. So just literally, we will be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. We're going to go over what we got going. Oh, and we got our boy, Rivers Lake, here as well.
What up, Rivers? What's up, guys? And by the way, update for the Browns roster. Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley, Dorian Thompson-Robinson all make the initial roster. So essentially they have 4 quarterbacks on there.
What the heck?
Ain't no way they're sticking with 4 quarterbacks on the 50.
They're looking for trades.
They're
looking for trades.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. Once again, Tyler Huntley makes the most sense for me for a late round type pick, maybe a pick swap of some sort, something like that you could potentially go out there and get another quarterback that you could potentially feel more confident in too. So keep an eye out for it, guys. It's a fluid situation right now.
So, guys, also interesting. I was just looking at a Twitter page. L Herbador. He says 62% of the roster is 1 to 4 years, very young. So, and guys, there's I'm seeing a lot of people saying, hey, there's a center, Ricky Stromberg from the Commanders, very good 3rd round pick from just a year ago. He's a high ranked center. There's going to be plenty of players we can go after. So I think tomorrow's conversation will be pretty interesting. So I'm actually excited for tomorrow. I kind of felt like I knew what the 53-man roster was going to be. I think tomorrow will be even more interesting because, I think you're going to see some interesting moves, guys. And we might even question the amount of people and the blend of people we put on the practice squad as well, too. We might have way more offense, way more defense. I don't know. It could be interesting to see.
Yep, I agree. And I like people in the chat talking about other quarterbacks. Obviously, Mac 180, yes. Tyler Huntley's familiar with Roman's offense. Trade for Flacco, which would be a tough one to be able to, I think, pull away from the Colts at this point. Trey Lance, that's a tough one, too, because I think they still have some faith in him. I think, to be honest, my opinion, I think they're going to try to find a way to walk away from Dak at some point. And they want to go young at the quarterback situation because I think they got some money situations that they're going to have to figure out. But I think at this point, I mean, they even got Mike White out there too as another guy that you could go out that's had some starting experience. So Tyler Huntley's the guy that if I'm looking at a ranking, that's the guy you want to go after at this point. So we'll see.
Boy.
But I'll take that score prediction there, Mac 180, week 1, 63-0. Let's go, Chargers. FPR, baby.
Raiders. Hey, they ain't ready. They ain't ready.
They ain't ready.
They ain't ready.
They ain't ready.
That's what I say to every team I play against in softball, dude. They ain't ready. They ain't ready.
This guy, dude.
They ain't ready. Hey, I'm gonna report, guys. I'm playing 2 games tonight. I'm gonna hit 4 home runs tonight, guys. What do you bet? 2 home runs per game.
All right.
That's what I'm gonna do. I don't want to run. I don't want to run. I'll poke it over the fence. No big deal.
Better record it. You can post it on the channel too. It's like prove it. No
That's
video, no proof. Didn't happen.
Bolt proof. No,
didn't happen.
Well, I guess we could wrap this up. I'll go. I think this 53-man roster about what I would have predicted. I've never been a big fan of doing like a prediction video because I do think it's kind of like, whatever. Yeah. But I think I'm still very curious to see what happens with Easton Stick. I don't think they have that much belief in him at this point. So I think they're probably working behind the scenes to get somebody else at this point, right? So that's the one I'm really curious about more than anything. I think that could be the one off the 53-man roster for sure. So we'll see. But again, we're going live tomorrow, 2 p.m. guys. Check us out.
No doubt. And I mean, once again, we've been chatting about it. We got a fluid situation here. I'm excited about seeing what other additions that we have here. But once again, we always will keep you guys updated on our channel too.
Yep.
YouTube, we actually have a community page on there too that we post up, signings or releasing or any sort of Chargers news on there too. It's a great way to communicate with you guys and reach out to you. But obviously, we love doing these live videos too, and to be able to keep connected with you guys and connect with the community. So we appreciate you guys tuning in.
100%.
Faux show.
All right, guys. Well, we're the Bolt Bros. We will see you guys in the next one.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Let's go.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching the Bolt Bros podcast. Let's go.
Charged up, Bolt Bros on the night. LA Thunder and electric delight.